this day. Oh my gosh. I was gonna say this day is over, and I'm glad for it. Um, and I just looked down to look at my Bible, and it says my name. And it says my name on it. My, it's so sweet. Um, my friend Ben, it's a longer story. But the short version is I was out of town with my friend and her family, and they had invited like other people, and the 13-year-old Casey had invited his friend River, and it was the end of a long day, and I was live streaming because I live stream anyway, right? And they kept coming in. Hey, Scott. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. We know your grandma was on hospice. And forgive me if I'm incorrect, Scott. Did you just have you just had a birthday as well? Or was that Levi? But I'm sorry about your grandma. Can you tell us? I know it's typing, so it's a little, you know, burdensome, but can you just tell us your favorite? Can you tell us something your grandma taught you? Do you know? Um, Once upon a time, my favorite person ever, they died. And years later, I was with my daughter doing like some volunteer stuff, and they took us through an exercise at the volunteering space. And they said, like, think about the person you respect the most, you love the most. And I was like, oh, hands down, that was my auntie. Like, I don't know another person in this world like her. And the lady took us through the exercise of like these things that you would say about the person who you respect so much. Um, it's your job to pass that on in the world, right? And something I was let me go in a row here. So let's do who I am. Let's do introduction. Um and then let's do the Bible, what I was talking about, the Bible story. And then let's talk about the things we can pass on to others. So number one, I am 3+Kei. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. This space right here is called the Secret Heart Club, and it's meant for the oddball Christians and the Christ curious to come together in community, because there's got to be I'm going to start talking about this a little bit more. There's got to be a space for us Christ followers that don't fit into the typical box. Because again and again, I'll tell you later on if we have time. I was telling my childhood friend tonight, I am like again and again at awe of the offerings of the secular community for people to feel welcome and invited. And I am again and again disgusted by small c, the church, like the individuals, not the institution, but the individual Christians that do not create a space of belonging. And it's like we're all on the same team, so why does it have to be this difficult? But anyway, that's it. And this space right here is called the Secret Heart Club. We got a little jingle. And it goes like this. Welcome to the Secret Heart Club, everyone. Does our part to bring love, be loved. Hey, we love Jesus at the Secret Heart Club. All right, so that's the introduction. Number 2, the Bible story. While I was with my friend and her family and everybody else, out of town, I started live streaming. I basically guilt tripped the other men into giving me a bedroom because I could not. I was like, how are y'all grown men? And you have bedrooms and you have beds and you're going to make me sleep on the couch. It is beyond me. I don't know if that's sexist or what, but it is beyond me that this is the situation I find myself in. Anyway, after I gave my speech to all the men and boys, young and old, it was 13-year-old Casey that not only gave up his bed and bedroom for me, but him and River like patted the sheets and like found pillows and made it like super nice. It was really cute. Anyway, I started live streaming, and because they're 13, and because nobody takes me seriously around here, they kept coming in and out. And eventually they ended up sitting down. And Casey was like, we could just talk about God, which is interesting because his family they're not believers at all. And so he's the one that initiated that conversation. And River started talking, and he was saying his mom, this was all on camera. His mom had cancer, and that was the first time he prayed, and now his mom doesn't have cancer, and he wants to know what that was about, and like who the Lord is. And so I had a fancy like $300 Bible, and he didn't have a Bible, and I didn't have an extra one because we're out of town, and I felt compelled to give River my really fancy Bible. And then I went to go buy another one, and they don't make it anymore. And this is how I say, like, don't call me like a good person, because I complained for months about how I gave up this Bible and every other Bible is insufficient. And so anyway, Ben, who's like my bestie Ben, who lives down the street and is a viewer, texted me. Because I don't like anybody coming. I don't like pop-ups. Not a fan. Some people don't mind. If you don't mind people coming to your house unannounced, I think that's great. Me, we might have an issue. Like, don't pull up. Don't come knocking on my door. Because I get anxiety. Like, I'm not going to answer anyway. Because, you obviously don't know me if you're knocking on my door. We're not friends, because no friend of mine would do something like that. Anyway, Ben knew this, and he texted me and was just like, I don't want you to be alarmed. But I dropped something off. And it was this Bible, and it's another fancy Bible. And it's not just that it's a fancy Bible, it's all the things I was complaining about are like satisfied within this Bible. So anyway, I was just looking down, because it came with a cover, and I took the cover off, and it says my name on it. It says ThreePlusKei, and I just think that's because it's not like he just went and bought it, which would have been fine because it's what I want, but he had it inscribed with my name on top of it. It means a lot. Means a lot. So it tickled me. And so I'm telling you about it. And right before then, in my kitchen, I was just thinking about, I tell people I don't like gifts, like in the way of love languages. Gifts, presents are my last one. And it's not because I don't like presents. I like presents just as much as anybody else. It's that people will get me things, and I believe it. Like, they mean well, but they'll be like, here's this, yeah, here's this dinosaur. And it's just like, well, I like, thanks for thinking about me, but like, we should probably work on our relationship because you don't know me to not give me a dinosaur. Do you know what I mean? And so, for that, I don't give people. I also say I don't give people gifts. That's a lie. I give people gifts all the time, probably more than I should. Um, but I don't. I would probably never give somebody like a birthday present or a Christmas present. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid. I think we're drinking the Kool-Aid. I think today, even today being Thanksgiving, it's really the day of mourning. And like, we were told to celebrate it. And somebody had told me once, like, well, it's a time for us to like get together with our family. And it's like, why, but why does it have to be when somebody told you to do it? Is all. You know, if you get a gift from me, it's going to be on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. because I saw this thing that was cool. I saw this dinosaur that was cool, and I'm gonna run over and I'm gonna pop up and give it to you. Do your thing, but anyway, that's the gift from Ben, and I just really, it's really the not the sugar. What is it? The ice cream? Shoot. Not the cherry on top, the whipped cream on top. Frosting. It's the frosting on the cake. Anyway, and then the third thing I wanted to talk about is what I was telling Scott. Scott's grandma passed away a few days ago, and he's been telling us about it, keeping us, she was in hospice. And so I was telling him a story of taking my person in life, my auntie, passed away, and it's a crazier story because she's not my real auntie. She was a green-eyed Italian lady that thought I was too skinny and started cooking for me. She thought I was like ridiculously too skinny. I wasn't here for it. That's how we met, and then took me in to just kind of like be her kid. And I needed that. Everybody needs somebody in their life that like roots for you in a ridiculous fashion. I always said, like, if I slap somebody and I was wrong and I just told my auntie I slapped somebody, she would be like, without even knowing the story, she would be like, they shouldn't have been standing there. They just shouldn't have, and you don't want a lot of people like that in your life. Yes, men, you don't want a lot of that in your life, but to have somebody that really just loves you and believes in you and believes in the goodness, we're not good people. I know we like to think we are, but we're not. We think people are fat and ugly, and it's nice to have somebody in your life that's like, you probably didn't mean it. You know what I mean? And it's like, just gives you the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, that was my auntie. So like a decade later, I'm sitting with my kid at the volunteering place, and they're like, think about the person who, you love more than anything ever in the world. And then, what they've given you as a gift. And then it's your job to pass that on in the world. And that's what I was asking Scott, what was the gift that his grandma gave him that he could pass on to the world, you know, from my auntie. And I had to be reminded of it because I got a little arrogant there. But my auntie saw someone who did not look like her. Again, total Italian lady. She was like second, what do you call it? First generation immigrant Italian. Like when she cooked for me, she cooked like, that's why I can't eat at Italian restaurants anymore. They're ruined for life because I've had the real thing, you know. But she took me in, and then years later, well, I mean, I guess as the years passed, I would meet her friends, and a little bit before she died, I met kind of like her rough and tumble friends, like motorcycle guys, and I'll never forget the way they treated me. It wasn't, she was like, "This is Lakita." And she called me, I called her my auntie because I have a biological mom and then foster parents too. So I wasn't in a space of having like another parent, but she would call me her daughter. And especially these guys because it was at a bar called Charlie B's, which was, it's not really like a, you know, a classy it's kind of a rough and tumble type bar. And I remember the way they treated me, her friends. She was like, "This is Lakita." And it was so like, and it's kind of like, you know, when you walk into a room and you know that you've been talked about before you enter the room. Like they said like, "Oh, this person's really smart or really dedicated or whatever." So you're naturally like favoring that person. These rough and tumble motorcycle dudes with their vests and leather and jean stuff and whatever, cussing up a storm and drunk and rowdy, they treated me in such a familiar way. It was like they had known me for years. And so she gave me that unconditional love toward other people that have nothing to do with what you got going on. And so, as I fostered, somebody had said the other day, they were like, "I bet your kids aren't black." It was Poppy. She was like, "Something tells me your kids aren't black." And it's like, yeah. I fostered 4 girls and 2 of them ended up being my daughters. The 2 that weren't my daughters, one was Native and black and the other was white. And the 2 that became my daughters, one is real deal Native American. She's up on the reservation. And the other is biracial, black and white. And I'll tell you a secret right now. When for decades, when I envisioned adopting, I always envisioned a little black boy. I never envisioned any other race or anything like that. And I ended up with teen girls that look nothing like me. My oldest, the one that's black and white, she's 5'10". I'm 5'3". You know, we don't look alike. But that's what I learned from my auntie, is to not only love people, and we love in different ways, but one thing I get a real big kick out of is being a cheerleader for people. And that's what I got. It's like a derivation of my auntie loved me unconditionally. I love my kids unconditionally. Everyone else I seem to find a lot of faults with. I have a pretty low tolerance at this juncture. But I will cheer you on. If you're doing something, I fail to see what that has to do with me. If you're going to open this business or start this instrument or you're going to just try a new food or whatever you got going on, not only do I encourage you to do that, come on over this way. Tell me about it again. And if you're a little kid, I will gas. My little best friend down the way, Hunter. Hunter just turned 3 last weekend. I gassed him up. So he has 2 Spider-Mans. I promise you. I was gassing him up so hard. He forgot what he was doing and just took off running. Took off running down the driveway. His dad was like, hold up. So his dad came and got him. I gassed Hunter up again because he showed me he was like, look, the foot twist. I was like, dang, bro. You got the foot and the neck twisting like that? Except I was a little more pumped up. And I don't know why he did it, but he did he tried to fly from his feet, landed on his face, crying. But I'm going to gas you up. I'm going to gas you up. You going to think you could fly messing around with me. So anyway, that's my auntie. Yeah. What the Lord wills is the title, and I just wonder if I could get through this year, I would be, I wonder what the rest of the year entails. And then to follow through and do it. One thing, I wonder what you guys think about this. So I got this thing, the James house, right? And sometimes, and it's okay, people aren't really supportive or into it, and that's okay, because sometimes we don't have the time to be invested into everything everybody's got going on. Another factor is not everybody has something going on. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I'm talking to somebody specific. Sometimes you have an idea or you have a thing you're doing. Like me even saying I'm going to be the strongest woman in Montana. The concept of that is irritating to somebody. You know what I mean? What? She's a woman. Muscles. You know what I mean? Somebody's or somebody might be oh, she's fat or whatever the case might be. So anyway, we've got the James House, Montana, and it's a long-term Christian group home for adolescent boys. And that's going to be kind of the big 2026 motion. And my thing is this: you don't have to be supportive. I get it. You might have your own thing going on, or you might have nothing going on. And so you don't know what it's like to have motion and to have something going on. So I respect that. My thing, and this is what I want to ask you guys: I don't really want people around me that aren't on my time, because I feel like this. I would support you. I just told you this. I just gave you this whole speech about how supportive I am toward people. I would support you. So if you aren't with what I've got going on, I don't even know what we would have to talk about. You know what I mean? And I had a friend, Miss Wynn. She's Vietnamese, super wise. And she said to me once, and I stick to this, she was like, just make sure you're giving if you have something going on, just make sure you're giving people the opportunity to participate, right? If they choose not to, no, that's a different story. And so I think about that, and I have these stickers I hand out. Oh, dang. I should have done like a Black Friday thing for PursueTheSmile.com. Don't worry. It's coming. We'll do something. Maybe a first of the year thing. But these are the stickers. I had 1,000 of them made up. It says Pursue the Smile and then PursueTheSmile.com at the bottom. And so what I do, the reason why it's only 1,000 is I hand these out face to face to people. This isn't something I would just like you can get Pursue the Smile merch at Stormy Salon. You can't get this sticker. It has to be personally given to you. And what I tell people is by placing this sticker on something, you are supporting bringing a group home to the area. That's all you need to remember. I support a group home coming to the area. And then if you're riding around with somebody, like I have a few people who are like, can you give me like 5 of them? And they'll go, I don't know where they're putting them or what they're doing with it, but they're going to put it somewhere. And so that's a way you could support. But if you felt to yourself, and only one person has done it, and maybe I'll just use this person as an example. They were like, no. And then they came back to me later because they saw literally everybody else was being supportive. They were like, oh, it's just that I'm going out of town and I don't think you want it in this place or whatever. And I told that person, no, it's cool. But now, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, well, we don't have nothing to talk about. I don't know how I could ever support you if you can't put a sticker somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But that's kind of level 1 of just brand awareness and whatnot. And then right, is there wisdom in supporting people who don't support you? Like, why would, am I wrong? Can y'all tell me? Am I wrong in that? It feels a little wrong, like I shouldn't hold it against somebody for not being into what I'm into, but it's also like, well, how could I ever support you if you don't support me? Like, in my mind, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Something to look up, I think. But anyway, I have a 28-page document. That's like the big kahuna, the what the James house is, and I included the numbers. So it's like 455 for the startup costs, and then 358 for the first year of operational costs. So, and then it's kind of like the breakdown, like how many spoons do you need, and blah 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 blah. And then I added, y'all don't know this about me, I'm like a big old nerd. I am a big old nerd, and at some point, it was in 2020, before COVID had happened, because I had it reviewed by I had it reviewed by someone with an educational degree. But one weekend I was living in California, and I was like, you know what I should do is write my philosophy of education. What I think about what I think the perfect education system should look like, with like citations and like references and the whole thing. Ended up being, I made like a 10-page document in the course of a weekend of what I think the educational system should be like. And it's funny, I had it proofread by someone with a master's of education. I also sent it to my mom, and it's so funny because my mom is the most educated person I know. So mind you, for fun, I wrote a 10-page dissertation on the perfect education system. I sent it to my mom, and like a few days later, I was like, "Did you read it?" And she was like, "I was waiting for you to send the rest of it." This is the environment I grew up in. I think I do that to my kids sometimes too. Like, here's this masterpiece. It's pretty dope. And it's like, this is it? That's what you came up with? It's terrible. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm pretty tired. I completed an 8K today. I completed my PR with deadlifting. Gotta double it. I'm only at 115. The person in my age group is at 319. So there's a lot of work to be done. All right. Well, I hope you guys had a great day, and by I hope you had a great day, I mean, I hope you weren't alone. And if you were with other people, great. I'll see you guys tomorrow. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'll talk to you later.